To our October 2025 Transparent Advisor Meetup. Woohoo! Just a few quick announcements here. The first thing is, if you have any hearing impairment, please click CC. You could caption the webinar. If anybody requires any other accommodations, please let me know, such as restriction from use of flash photography. I know that sometimes I have an autistic child, which is why I say this, with sometimes people with sensory conditions. This could be very stressful for them. Never my intention to stress anybody out. And if anybody requires any accommodations, I am trying as hard as I can to foster an inclusive environment for everybody. And I welcome you all for being here. And just want to go over a few things here. So the first thing is, if you don't show your first and last name on these calls, then unfortunately, I'm going to have to remove you from the Zoom, okay? And it's just because we have to have total transparency here. There's a bunch of people that are coming in like, I don't know, trying to just be like clandestine here. And that's not what we're about. We're the transparency movement, okay? We're all in it to network and get to know each other and be generous and upfront. So if you don't have those values, guess what? I'm going to have to boot your butt out, unfortunately. And the next thing is immersion. For those of you that have already registered, thank you. And for those of you that have not registered, why haven't you registered? Here's the meetup. The link is in the chat. One thing I will say about the immersion is this, okay? I'm going to tell you honestly something that is from my own experience. I just went to a conference in London. I spoke in London, and it was a little weird for me. And as much as I really adored the organization, it was the CISI planning conference. It was a very darling organization. I had a wonderful time. I have to tell you something though. It was weird because I felt a little bit awkward, you know? I normally don't feel that socially awkward, but I felt weird because like I was one of the only Americans. I was in a foreign country. Everything was so weird. Like I wasn't sure, am I using the right words? Like I didn't really know anybody. I knew nobody. Okay. And I got to tell you, it was weird. Like I felt shy. And that's such a weird, like foreign feeling for me. And so here's what I will say to you about the immersion. I intentionally guard against that. I am trying as hard as I can to design a conference that is mixed, that we have everybody mixed together. So we have kind of like speed dating, so to speak, where we have during dinner, we have people switch, like after, a certain amount of time, they have to switch tables so that we mix everybody up. I organize by geography. I organize like little groups within it called pods. I organize you by type of business, flat fee, advice only, hourly. There are 2 hourly pods, 2 advice only, and 4 flat fee pods at this point. This conference is really taking off. There's a lot of registrants, much more than before. But my point is, I'm organizing by another pod session by geography, another pod session by alphabetical. And it's just to get people in a situation where they're kind of structured to socialize so that avoids that awkwardness from the conferences. In addition, you might like that there's no pitching allowed. There's no exhibitor hall. There's no vendors that are going to be there pitching their wares. Vendors are allowed to attend, but on an educational basis. And if there's anything otherwise, then they won't be allowed to participate in that fashion. Okay, so this really is about immersing, and true to the name, that's why I called it immersion. Okay, so everybody, please sign up for the immersion, or if you have questions about it, don't hesitate to speak with me about it. I always love to talk to all of you about various matters. So anyways, other thing is, I had somebody that came to one of my clients who is not qualified on an AUM basis. The person doesn't have enough assets, but is seeking financial advice and planning. So if you are working with folks that don't necessarily have to have like super high income or super high asset levels, please send me a note if you're interested in this prospect, and we could have a conversation about it. And thank you all for being the kinds of people that are operating in a non-traditional, non-normal fashion, because that makes relationships like this possible, that you could reach folks that otherwise would not have been able to be serviced. Amen. I appreciate you, and I don't say it enough. So thanks for being all you as a group and individually. Now, next one is Stephen Fox, that you might know. Stephen's a Marine, He's spoken at once on virtual and once at the in-person. He spoke at Immersion in 2025. He's registered for 2026 Immersion. He's going to be speaking next month, November 12th, and it's going to be about dealing with regulators as flat fee or advice only, because I know that all of you have some questions and certainly some frustrations about that topic. So I put that right into the group chat. Go ahead and register if you'd like. And next, I am just plainly going to turn it over to Travis Hughes. Hello, Travis. Where are you?
Hi.
Hi, I'm going to spotlight you for everyone. Thank you for being here, Travis. We appreciate your faith in us, appreciate you doing what you do. And I'm just going to let you take it away. Travis is a flat fee advisor. Having said that, I'm going to button it.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm a flat fee advisor of a firm, Downshift Financial, a couple business partners. We started in like 2001, I believe, is when we officially launched. And Sarah asked me to come and share our free assessment program. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I am a financial planner by trade, not a public speaker or presenter. So you will have to excuse any difficulties with that. I'm going to try to turn on presenting mode and hopefully.
Thank you, Travis.
All right, you guys see the full screen now? Are y'all seeing the full screen or my presenting screen?
The presenting screen.
Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna. Is this big enough for everybody to read? Oh, here. Sorry. Is this big enough for everybody to read, or do y'all really need me to put the presenting screen on? I may not be able to do it.
I think it's okay, Travis. Don't worry about it. That's fine. Okay.
All right. So we have this this free assessment program. Basically, when prospects come to us, we let them test drive our services, and I think it has been one of the several keys to success. But it's been really big for us, as any like salesperson would tell you. You have to have multiple contacts with folks to get them to know, like, and trust you. And I mean, we're asking folks to trust us with their life savings here. It's kind of a big deal. I don't understand how anybody signs up clients after one meeting. I don't know how that happens. It's not what we do. So we're just going to go through it real quick. Starts with the website. I like to keep everything very clear and concise. So on our website, we very clearly and frequently state what our specialty is and who we serve. Hopefully this is stuff you guys all know already. You want your target market, if they land on your website, to go, oh, this is me. This is my firm. And you want everyone else to think these are not the folks for me, right? You don't want them to even contact you if it's not your target. Clear and straightforward pricing. I don't think I need to harp on that too much here. We just charge a straight flat fee. Calls to action and clear contact information. I can't tell you how many times I've landed on websites, both in and outside of our industry, where like there's no call to action. There's no clear way for me to contact the business even. Like, how do you expect anybody to reach out to you? It needs to be easy to figure out what to do. If they land on your website and think, oh, that's me, the next step should be obvious. Like, click here, contact me, right? They should be able to book a meeting with you directly on the website. They should not have to email you or call you to get a meeting. They should be able to book a meeting with you right on the website. So here's the top of our landing page. We've got 2 buttons to our free assessment here. If they click this, it'll redirect to a page where they can book a meeting with me. They don't need to call me. They don't need to email me. They just book a meeting. We got pricing, a link right here to pricing. And we very clearly state in big bold letters who we serve. We're Downshift Financial. We serve folks that are looking to downshift their lives, financial independence, early retirement, semi-retirement. Make it obvious and easy. When they click on pricing, I mean, geez, giant bold letters. Here's our fee, right? Simple and easy. So they book that first meeting. It's a meet and greet. And here's how the meet and greets go for us. For me, this is how I like to run them. I basically just start like, I'm curious. I like meeting people. People want to talk about themselves. So let them. Like, I'm not here to pitch my stuff. They contacted me. I want to hear about them. So I typically just start with small talk. Where are you calling from? Why'd you reach out? How'd you find me? Like, what's up? What's going on? Normally there's Kitsis likes to say, like, there's an acute thing. There's a reason they're calling a financial advisor now. not a month ago, not 6 months ago, not next year. So they'll tell you what that thing is. And I just let that go on for as long as possible. Eventually, they'll get to where they want to start asking questions about you normally. And when that part rolls around, first of all, I don't bring an agenda. I don't bring a pitch deck. I'm not droning on and on about my firm. Any questions they have, I'll answer it as clearly, directly, and concisely as I can. I'm not, if they ask me about my fee structure or what my investment, let's say, what's your investment philosophy? I can probably do that in 1 to 2 sentences. I'm not going to go on and on and on about it. So yeah, it's mostly just about them. And then at the end of that meeting, I'm pitching the free assessment. Now they should be totally expecting this because the website sets that expectation. On my homepage at the very top, they click that free assessment button. The page that directs to says, hey, you can schedule a meet and greet with us. After that, we'll do a rough draft of a financial plan. It's 2 more meetings. You can do all that for free. No charging. No, like, I'm not going to shove a contract in you. We're not going to push any sales or anything like that. So they should be expecting this already. I would say 99% of the people at this point will do the free assessment. I can't think of any people that didn't do it other than like, it's just obviously not a good fit, or you obviously need an advisor that specializes in this very specific issue that I don't specialize in. I'll refer you out, that sort of thing. Basically, everybody's going to do it. So pull up the calendar right then and there, live in the meeting, and book those next 2 meetings. You're not going to email them a link, right? You want to get them on the calendar right then and there. Keep pushing the ball forward. And then, so here's how the process works. So when we get down to the end of that meeting and we're going to the free assessment, this is kind of how I explain it. I've got 2 business partners. Their verbiage might vary a little bit, make it yours. But basically, I just say, hey, this is a test drive of our services, right? It's totally free of charge. I don't charge you for anything. We're basically going to rough draft a financial plan. I'm going to show you some financial projections. You're going to leave with a 1-page summary that's going to have our thoughts in general and some top action items for you to consider. This is going to be a 2-meeting process. The first meeting, you're going to have some homework. You need to set up your profile in our software, upload a couple of documents, stuff like that. It's going to be like 101 questions. I just need to make sure I understand your situation, understand all the inputs, understand what scenarios are worthwhile to model for you, that sort of thing. After that, I'm going to have the homework of creating, rough drafting things, making the projections and writing that summary. And then at that second meeting is when we're going to deliver it and review everything. I'll answer any questions you have. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to shove a contract in front of you. I'm not going to pressure you to sign up. At the end of this process, I'm just going to ask you to sleep on it. I don't tell them this, but I have never asked anyone to sign up for my services. I have never directly said, hey, will you please sign up? That's not a thing that I do. Like, it's just not necessary. We want folks that are eager and willing to work with us. So we just leave it up to them. So that's the pitch. That's the process. At that first meeting, like I said, they have some homework. They're going to set up a profile in Right Capital. I asked them to upload a few key documents. When we were starting this, we asked them to upload everything, and they do. People will do that, but it's way too much work both for them and for us for the free assessment part, because I mean, I don't want to put 30 hours of work into every single individual prospect. So now we just have them set up Right Capital. They link their accounts in there, so that pulls in their investment holdings and balance sheet information. I asked them for the documents that don't come in through the Yodlee links. So like insurance documents. I don't know what your property and casualty coverage looks like. I don't know what life insurance or disability insurance you have. I asked them to upload that stuff, as well as social security statements. Same thing, right? That's not going to come through. Normally, that's all I ask for. Sometimes there will be some other special stuff, like if they have stock compensation at their company they work at, I'll ask for documents on that. Just niche cases like that. But I try to keep it to a minimum what I ask them to upload. I want to make their homework easy, and I want to make our work on this process easy as well. I mean, it's a rough draft, right? We're not going to get everything totally perfect here.
Travis.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've said so much already. Folks, any questions for Travis before we move on?
Sorry, I'm
you
going
covered
pretty fast.
so many different nuances, Travis, and I'm so appreciative of that. Let's just pause here for a minute. Folks, you can enter your questions into the queue, or you can call them out to Travis either.
I have a question. So you've had them, link into Right Capital, and what if they do not become a client? Do you unlink them? Do they go in and unlink? How do you maintain that security?
I don't do any, I don't have a process for it, I guess is the answer to your question. If they don't sign up, I normally just forget about it. And they're, like their name will be in Right Capital more or less forever. You could certainly delete it. I don't know that it's necessary. I don't see any reason to delete it necessarily. I mean, we've had the odd, I've had maybe three to five cases over the years where someone has explicitly said, "Hey, will you delete my information?" Like for privacy reasons. And basically, what I come back and I go, "Hey, I can delete you from Right Capital. I can't delete the files that you gave me, and I can't delete the like one-page summary and the reports that I generated, right? For regulatory purposes, right? I mean, a regulator just requires me to save that information. But yeah, I normally don't do anything with it. After the free assessment, like I'm done. I don't do anything on that household or that prospect at all unless they email me again and go, "Hey, I'm ready to sign up." Otherwise, it's just like I just move on.
A lot more questions here. Thank you so much, Travis. Is it a total of 3 meetings?
Yes. Yeah. It's a total of 3. When I'm pitching the free assessment in the meet and greet, which is the first meeting, I tell them it's a 2-meeting process because we're already in the first meeting. I'm not going to count that meeting, and it makes it seem, I think, I mean, I don't know if it matters, but I think it makes it seem easier to them as well. Whereas if I say it's a 3-meeting process, it sounds like more work. So yeah, it is 3 meetings total. Normally it'll span about like 4 to 6 weeks. And yeah, like I said at the top of the call, like any salesperson will tell you, you got to get folks to know, like, and trust you. And it takes multiple contacts to do that. So that's one of the reasons I like it is they've met with us 3 times. It's been over the span of, a month or more. Like if the personalities are driving, like they'll be a lot more comfortable with you and your services than if you just meet them the first time and you pitch them and go, "Hey, let me know if you want to sign up." Like you're probably never going to hear from them again.
Travis, a lot more questions here. The chat is exploding. What happens if the client does not want to connect accounts to Right Capital in the first place?
Then I ask them to do manual inputs. I'm not going to do that myself. I ask them to do that because it is free. They can either just enter the dollar amounts and tell me the allocations or enter the allocations themselves, or they can manually enter the holdings if they want, but it's all up to them. And I always just caveat throughout the process, no matter how much inputs they give, like this is all rough. It's all rough drafted, right? Like um, if a client signs up to work with me, I'm going to dial it in as close as I can. But like if you just go, "Hey, I have an IRA with $250,000 in it for the purpose of a free assessment," that's fine. Like I don't, we're just rough drafting things here.
Any compliance concerns about providing recommendations without providing disclosures and having client agreements signed?
Yeah, don't give recommendations. Yeah. None of this is a recommendation. We're doing, so what I do is, and I'll kind of show you some of the outputs as we come up on it here, but yeah, we're rough drafting projections. I do a lot of caveats on, crap in, crap out. So the higher quality inputs, the higher quality outputs, as well as the fact that I'm making very broad assumptions about asset allocation, investment style, that sort of thing. And the 1-page summary, like I said, it's going to have our general thoughts and top action items to consider. I never say do this, do that, or I recommend this, I recommend that. It's like you might want to think about increasing your property and casualty coverage. You might want to think about getting an estate plan in place, that sort of thing.
What is the ratio of prospects to new clients?
I don't know the exact number, but off shooting from the hip, I would say 2/3 to 3/4 signups.
Are prospects required to do the free assessment, or is it a nice to do to ensure a good fit?
It is mostly required. We've had one person jump straight in, but we knew from the initial context it was going to be a good fit. Um, although I would say you're not going to get that question much because nobody's really going to turn down the free part of the the assessment. So for the most part,
How do you find these prospects?
man, they have been finding us. We had a really good like product market fit, if you will, the folks we're serving, how we're serving them, who we are, and what we want to do for folks, the fee structure, all of that. I'm not a marketer. I honestly couldn't, I don't have a good answer there. Folks are finding us. And if your issue is getting prospects to show up, then honestly, you're going to need to talk to somebody that's a marketer because that's not me.
But can I ask you a question, Travis? Alev
Mhm.
here. How do you create awareness? How do they know to find you?
I honestly don't know. I feel like I'm cheating. Like I don't know. Like
Okay.
folks, we've been on a couple podcasts. That was like years ago. We are just known within. So we serve folks on the path to financial independence, like downshift, financial independence, early retirement, semi-retirement. That's our specialty. We live it, we breathe it. We're a part of that community, and folks just know us. Beyond that, I honestly don't know how to say. Like, folks just find us. We've gotten a few now. We used to get like Google, and we're like, really? Google? You found us through Google? Now we're starting to get folks that said they find us through Chat GPT. Like, folks just find us. I don't know.
Okay. Few more. Forgive me if I missed this, but what's the rationale for offering even analysis before a prospect signs up to work with you? Did you see lower conversion rates before starting to offer this? Or does it just feel right to do it? No shade if it's the
Just,
latter.
yeah, it just feels right. We never did anything other than this. So I can't speak to what it would be like without this. What I can say is, and again, I'm not a salesperson. I had a couple of sales jobs in my life and I was terrible at all of them. But any salesperson or trainer would tell you, again, multiple contacts for know, like, and trust. And I'm saying you want people to trust you with their life savings. They need to like you and they need to trust you. So having these multiple meetings where they get to know you, feel more comfortable with you, I think is beneficial in the process. I think also we're demonstrating what our services are, what we're capable of, and what our unique angle on it is. So one thing that sets us aside and perhaps sets some of you guys aside, you guys and gals aside from, you know, other financial advisors in general or Goliath National Bank in particular, is I'm focused on helping my clients maximize their lifetime fulfillment, not their net worth. I don't want my clients dying with a mountain of money. That's not my goal. So, and you'll find like I might mention that in that way, like one time in this process, but you'll find ways as you go through it where it fits neatly into their specific situation. So like, hey, there's this thing you want to do. You've never done it before. Like, let's make it happen now. Let's pull that away from, your 65-year-old retirement date. Let's pull that into today. Let's do that. Right. And those are the kinds of things that we do that I think are different from, again, your Goliath National Bank advisors. They're not doing that.
So the free assessment with 3 meetings is to bring clients into a long running contract or a subscription type offering.
Yeah, we do long-term services, correct. So if you are a project-based advisor, maybe this would not quite work for you. I've never done project-based, so that's a good point. Yeah, we're ongoing services. Yeah.
Could you give us some demographics, psychographics of your segment?
Yeah, so obviously I've already touched about early retirement, semi-retirement. I would say our bread and butter is married couples with kids, 35 to 55 years old, 2 million to 6 or 8 million net worth. We have folks outside of that on every angle. We've got folks less money, more money. We've got folks that are single. We've got same-sex couples. We've got childless couples. But yeah, I mean, married couples, middle-aged, 2 to say 8 million net worth.
Okay, that's it for the questions for now. Woohoo, everybody. Keep them coming. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
sorry,
Travis.
sorry, I was going really fast. Yeah,
I'm in.
I'll try to stop on each slide and see if there's any questions. All right, so I guess I don't know if I finished this one. This was the second meeting total, the first in the free assessment program. So they do their homework. I do my homework to prep. So they're gonna set up a profile, upload statements, upload insurance documents and social security statements. I review everything and familiarize myself ahead of time. I write down the questions that I have, gaps in information, stuff that I don't understand or stuff that's missing. That way, when we're in the meeting, I have that ready to go. When we get into the meeting, I pull up Right Capital. You guys may or may not be using Right Capital, but I pull up Right Capital and there's different tabs. I do family, income, expenses, goals, savings, net worth. And we go through each of those pages individually. And I just go through each entry and go, hey, is this right? Here's my questions. Make sure it all is entered correctly. So it's basically just walking through the inputs is that whole first meeting. After that, I prepare the financial projections in the one-page summary. So with that, I've got kind of, the inputs that I need to put my thoughts together, put the one-page summary with action items in it, draw up a few scenarios and that sort of stuff. So then that gets us to the last meeting in the process, the free assessment delivery meeting. I made a cardinal sin in this presentation that I'm going to tell you not to do with these prospects, which is to frequently slow down, ask them if they have any questions. This is something I'm really bad at. I've got industry jargon and speech, and I tend to, in general, I think I assume folks have a similar level of knowledge, if not my level of knowledge, but maybe they know if I say QCD, I assume they know what a QCD is, and maybe they don't know what a QCD is, right? So slow it down, frequently ask, hey, does that make sense? Do you have any questions? That sort of thing. I like to do that at least one time on each page. So again, I'm on the income page. I do it all, and then I say, hey, does that make sense before we move on? But in general, on the free assessment delivery, I am going to go through the inputs again because I have made changes to what they did initially. So I want to make sure that they understand what those changes are. But I try to do it fast. So I'm going to zip through those inputs. I try to keep it to 10 minutes or less. So we're going to go through all the inputs again, make sure there's no obvious errors, right? If they see something that needs to be changed. After that, I like to go through some of these other pages before I get to the projections and whatnot. So I like to look at the investment allocation. So I'll pull up the allocation screen and go, hey, it looks like today you're at, 73% stock, 23% bonds and cash. And I might comment on what would be common or typical for someone in their life stage, for example. I'm not going to give a recommendation, but I might go, hey, you're 73-27 for your life stage. That's somewhat common. You might see folks between 60-40 and 70-30 for that life stage, for example. I like to pull up the tax buckets, obviously call out if there's any odd ones. If they're, $2 million in pre-tax buckets and 0 in the Roth, I'll go, hey, you're going to have an RMD problem later. Roth conversions are probably going to be an integral part of your plan. Or if it's a good spread, I like to call out that too. Hey, it looks like you're 1/3 in each bucket. This is fantastic. You're going to have a lot of control over your income later. So good job there. After that, I move to the Roth conversion screen. So I'll look at projections on whether Roth conversions are beneficial for them. And most of my clients, it is because they're doing early retirement or they're at least downshifting, reducing income before conventional retirement age. So normally it's beneficial. Oops, sorry. And we'll look at like what level is optimal, and I'll explain, in Right Capital, it gives you this like, your tax adjusted ending wealth is higher by some nominal amount. And I do like to point out, like, this number is absurd. It's a linear projection. It's not true, but like it shows you the directional trend, that sort of thing. And then lastly, education funding, if applicable. If they have kids, I like to go to the education funding screen and explain my thoughts on that. So at this point, we're like 30 minutes into this meeting. Now we're going to look at the cash flows before I go to the Monte Carlos. I think the cash flows are important because obviously it's a major input. If the cash flows are very off from reality, then the projections are just nonsense. So I like to drag into the cash flows. I look at the first year or two and just go, hey, does this look accurate? Does this look true to life? Make sure that that looks good. Before we get to the projections, I like to explain what it is that they're going to be looking at. Most folks have no idea what a Monte Carlo is. You know, they're thinking about school. If I get 70% in a test in school, that's terrible, right? It's not the same for a Monte Carlo. So just, you know, briefly explain what a Monte Carlo is, what we're looking for, what's good, what's bad, you know, how it's going to look for them. Then we pull it up. I'll show them the projections as well as some of the scenarios. Normally I would have like, say, 2 to 4 scenarios built out. So I'll have like their base scenario, which is what they came to me with. And then I'll have one scenario, like one level deeper, which is like, I've optimized Roth conversions, I've optimized Social Security, and I've optimized maybe one other obvious thing for their scenario. You know, retiring earlier, retiring later, whatever it is, one other obvious thing. And then I'll normally have like one more that's kind of a dovetail from that one, which is like, here's what happens if we downsize your home, or here's what happens if you leave your $400,000 doctor job and just make 40 grand a year doing whatever the heck you want. Like I'll have like a scenario like that built up. Normally at this point, they'll be engaged, asking questions about how it affects them, that sort of thing. And sometimes maybe I'll try to live in meeting, like pull some levers or make some changes if they request or if it seems to fit.
Travis, we have some more questions. Can
Yeah.
we pause for a minute?
Yeah.
Amen. So next would be, do you use Right Capital for Roth conversions?
Yeah. On the tax strategies screen, I'll model out the Roth conversion. Now that is, and I tell this to clients too, that's a long-term projection. That's a trend, right? So if we go, hey, it looks like it's optimized for you to do Roth conversions up to the top of the 24% tax bracket. So that's what I've modeled into the projections. But when we actually go to do them, it's a game day decision. I'm going to do an actual tax projection that year, like a real tax projection. And then we're going to say, hey, does this make sense? And if so, how much, right? So each year we do it. I'm doing an individualized recommendation, but in Right Capital, it's a long-term projection.
Next question. How does year 2 and 3 look different from year 1? Since you're after long-term relationships, do fees change? Do you have a service calendar? We
used to do a formal service calendar, but I found that it was too rigid for real life. I mean, your mileage may vary. We don't do a service calendar anymore. It takes, I would say, give or take 6 months for a client to be fully onboarded and kind of get everything more or less optimized and kind of where we want it. At that point, we drop them into a biannual meeting cadence, and it's kind of a zoom out and zoom back in workflow. So the biannual meetings, we zoom out, refresh the projections, identify stuff that we need to work on moving forward, all that sort of stuff. I mean, you guys kind of understand how, I'm guessing y'all understand how the biannual meetings go. In between the biannual meetings is when we would zoom back in to the discrete task level. So it's like, we're going to do Roth, like right now I'm doing a lot of these Roth conversion calculations for folks that we already knew we were going to do them. Now is when I'm like working up the actual tax projection and saying, hey, we have $27,000 of headroom here to do Roth conversions for you this year. Let's execute. So that's kind of the discrete level. So in between the meetings, we're still having a lot of contact. It is, what's the word? Like offline, I forget what it's called, but it's like emails, basically. We use a system called Basecamp, a project management software called Basecamp, but it's all like in writing, like not in real time for the most part. We would have meetings in addition to the biannual meetings for like critical events. If somebody's going to like buy a house or some big life events coming up or whatever, we'll schedule an ad hoc meeting for that as well. But yeah, that's kind of the ongoing process. Our fees do not change after sign up. We're straight flat fee. Currently, it's $2,000 a quarter. We are going to introduce a, don't spread this around. We haven't told anybody yet, but we're going to be introducing a cost of living adjustment, an inflation adjustment, basically. But that's all it is. I mean, we got flat fee. We're going to adjust for inflation each year. That's it.
What software do you use for tax projections?
We used to use Holistiplan, but they started charging an absurd fee, so I dropped it. We now use, I think the guy's name is Glenn Reeves, publishes an Excel spreadsheet that is a live working set of tax forms. I think it's excel1040.com. Look for Glenn Reeves Excel 1040. And I mean, if you're not like I am dangerously familiar with taxes. Like I would say I know more about taxes than maybe 3/4 of advisors. So I feel comfortable using this. If you're not familiar with taxes, it's going to take you a while to understand it, but you can basically mock up a tax return. Like as far as I'm aware, you could hit Control P and like print it off and sign it and send it to the IRS. Like it is a tax return. So that's what I do. I pull up that spreadsheet. Each year he publishes a new one. I pull a new one. And I just start inputting. Here's the W-2. Here's the, interest income, dividends income, capital gains, everything. I stick it in there. Of course, I caveat with clients, like I am not a CPA. I am an enrolled agent, but I don't professionally prepare taxes for people. So I go, hey, I didn't make this spreadsheet. Glenn Reeves did. I can't verify that it's all accurate. I believe it is. My inputs, I believe, are accurate to the conservative side, but I can't guarantee that. If you want to be sure, you need to consult a CPA, but here's what I believe to be true, right? So that's kind of how I do it.
Next question. Do you also do their tax compliance?
No, and I don't know what that means. I'm not quite sure what you mean tax compliance. We're not tax preparers.
Anybody else have any other questions? He's going to keep going.
Okay.
All right.
Try to slow down. So Monte Carlo. All right. So after the Monte Carlo, we get to the one-page summary. And I'll show you what the summary is. Again, it's basically just a one-page deliverable. It's going to have our general thoughts on it, some top action items to consider. So we'll run through those at the end of the meeting. After the one-page summary, I say, hey, I'll deliver that. In my case, I don't want to email it because it does have sensitive. I mean, it has their net worth on it. It's got sensitive information. So what I do is I upload it to the vault in Right Capital, and I say, hey, I'm going to upload this to Right Capital. I'll shoot you an email when it's done. You can go into Right Capital and pull it, like download it. I'm not going to shove a contract in front of you. I'm not going to ask you to sign up. I'm not even going to follow up with you after today. If you want to work with me, you sleep on it, shoot me an email and let me know. I'd love to work with you. That's it. Have a great life. And like I said, maybe I'd say 3/4 of folks email me, within a month. We've had folks email like 6 or 9 months later and go, hey, we're ready to work with you now. So you never know. But most folks, it'll be, within a few weeks, they'll email you. Oftentimes they'll also ask about the next steps. And I mean, your process may vary, but if they do, just explain what your onboarding process looks like. Again, I try to be clear and concise and direct. I'm not going to try to drone on about it. Like folks don't want to hear a 30-minute pitch about your services. They're already interested if they got this far. So I just try to answer it in a few sentences. Here's the one-page deliverable that we give them. I made this in Excel. It's just an Excel file. I plug in their net worth up here, their names and ages, the date of the free assessment meeting. Core values and top goals, I leave blank. Normally, they don't even ask about it, and I don't mention it. If they do ask, it just folds neatly into who we are and what we do. I mean, your core values are important to us. Like this is one of those like what does I forget what Carl Richards calls it, statement of financial purpose. This used to actually say statement of financial purpose for us as well, but we found that writing a sentence like that was kind of burdensome, and we didn't think that a single sentence was important necessarily, but core values are. For a lot of folks, it's like, time with family, traveling abroad, like whatever my one hobby is, rock climbing or whatever it is, right? Core values. So this is what we want to spend lavishly on, basically. Top goals, put my kids through college, see the world, whatever. We leave it blank. If they ask about it, I'll explain why it's important. Notes. So this is where I put my narrative summary. I like to first congratulate people on their achievements so far. I mean, most of these people already have over $1 million net worth when they come to us. And like, that's no small feat, right? Like most people are not millionaires. So I can congratulate them on their achievements. I briefly touch on what challenges lie before them. They should already know this by the time we've gotten here because I've explained it in the rest of this meeting. As well as reassuring them what they can achieve. Particularly for folks, if you pull up a Monte Carlo that's not great, right? If they come with a plan and I go, hey, your plan was a 22% Monte Carlo projection, like it's just not going to work. Normally I'm able to work something up and go like it's not all doom and gloom. You can make a financial plan work. We're just going to need to trim here and expand there and et cetera, et cetera. So reassure them that they can achieve goals, right? Core values are what are important. Quitting work tomorrow is not necessarily the core value, right? Nobody puts on their core value, I don't want to work. It's all like, I want to travel. I want time with my family. I want this, and that. We can do that and work also, it's achievable. And then action items down here. So again, consider the following. It's not do this, it's consider putting an estate plan in place. Consider putting a plan in place for combating sequence of returns risk. Consider increasing your liability coverage and putting an umbrella policy in place, et cetera, et cetera. So I list those there. These are line items, but normally I'd say it's like 4 to 6 action items is kind of where I end up. And if they sign up, those are the first 4 to 6 things I tackle. I mean, we're ready to hit the ground running. So that's my deliverable. I do have these disclosures in here too. I give them the actual Excel file because if I print to a PDF, these links don't work. So I give them the Excel file where the links do work. I link to my SEC IAPD profile. So my advisor disclosures are there. Form CRS and ADV and our privacy policy. All the disclosures are there. There's no paperwork. I don't have them sign anything for this process. Like there's no paperwork. I just do it. And that's it.
One of
That's
the
the whole thing.
questions that came in on the chat, during this assessment process, it seems like you're doing a decent amount of tailored work. How do you disclaim this from being actual recommendations before the advisory agreements are signed?
There are no recommendations. I mean, there's no way for them to claim there's any recommendations. I haven't made any recommendations. I'm not sure how they would claim that there are any.
Next question, that flat 2,000 a quarter, do you adjust for complexity? It seems hard to shoehorn $2 million to $8 million clients into a standard fee.
No, I don't adjust for complexity. If there is someone whose complexity is beyond the reasonable scope of how much time I would want to put in, I'll tell them that. It's come up a handful of times, like maybe 2 or 3 in the last 5 or 6 years. But for the most part, no, we charge a flat fee. Like it's a total steal for some people. Like we have clients that are 20 million. We got a few clients that are 20 million and north of that. And for those clients, like it's a steal. But I'm not like, they don't have like villas in Capri and like international foundations and whatever stuff like that. Like if somebody has that level of stuff, I go, hey, you're gonna need a white glove like family office. Basically, that's not us. And same thing on the reverse. Like I've had folks come to us that have like $1.1 million, and they say, hey, like I spend 20 grand a year and my house is paid off, and can I retire? I'll do this free assessment. And like if they are if like we have folks that come to us that are reading kitsis.com, like folks that are very well educated. And I'll tell those folks too, like, hey, here's my free assessment deliverable. If you want to work together, that's great. But if you feel comfortable being DIY, that's great too. Like you may not be the type of person that needs an advisor. Like there are people that don't need one. And those people exist too.
More questions. The chat is exploding. Folks, enter in those questions on the chat, or you could call them out as long as you do so politely. Next question. Who do you custody with, and do you manage retirement accounts or only taxable accounts?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good question. We custody with Charles Schwab. Since we charge a flat fee, investment management is not mandatory. They can just pay us out of pocket if they want and manage stuff themselves. And in that scenario, again, we're talking about clients now, not prospects. In that scenario, I will give explicit recommendations, sell this, buy this ticker, put 20% of the account into this, etc. We do manage all types of accounts as well. IRAs, solo 401ks, brokerage accounts.
Are there other deliverables after the free assessment?
Not for the free assessment, no. The only deliverable I give them is the one-page summary. If they want a printout of the reports from Right Capital, I'll give it, but I can't remember that happening. I'm going to say it's probably happened 2 or 3 times in the last few years. I mean, folks don't want a 50-page report. They don't care.
What would you do if you got a business owner, people with lots of real estate holdings, rentals? Those would be outside the scope of most flat fee agreement, like pizza extras are extra.
I don't see what that would be. I also have a background in real estate, so maybe I have an unfair advantage there. But I mean, we have clients that have rental properties. We have clients. We had a client for a year and a half or so that their entire wealth was rental real estate. They didn't really even have any brokerage assets. I don't see why that would be. I mean, I'm not making recommendations on what house to buy, right? Like if they're going to buy a new rental property, I'm not saying like, yeah, that looks like a good house to buy. But I do give them a framework to analyze whether it might be a good investment or not. And I do make recommendations to sell rental properties.
How do you adjust the fee level in, say, 2 years, 5 years, because things go up cost-wise?
We're near the end of our growth curve right now. We have about 80 client households. There's 3 of us in our firm. We're looking to cap out at about 100. So to answer your question, we have not yet ever raised fees on any clients. We are going to be introducing a cost of living adjustment next year. That is brand new. We haven't really even told anybody outside the firm, so y'all were the first to know. But that's just going to be a cost of living adjustment. We don't have any plans to, we don't do anything complexity related. We just charge a flat fee.
How many clients do you service per advisor per year?
So there's 3 advisors. We're currently at 80. We're looking to cap out at 100. We have now all 3 advisors are involved in all the client households, but generally we are trying to have 2 advisors like leading the relationship, if you will. So what that would look like when we're like all full would be 2 biannual meetings per client, and each advisor sits in on both a lead and a support role, right? So that would be like 66 households per advisor, half of which your lead, half of which your support. And for each of those 66, you have 2 meetings a year at a minimum. Some of those clients will require ad hoc meetings. So basically we're looking at, 130 to 140 meetings a year. Did I do the math right there? I think so.
Are you doing their APOD, APOD, etc.?
I don't know what that is.
All right. Daniel, could you please elaborate in the chat of what you're referring to? Any farm or ranch clients?
No, No, I don't have any farmer ranch clients. We did have one. I'll say no, even for that client. They qualified for a ranch truck and they did have some ranch investments, but no, none of these like, folks that have $10 million that are ranchers. So no. That would be a good niche though.
Amen. So the APOD is annual property operating data.
I'm not familiar with that acronym. So for the most part, when we start, I'll take folks' word for it on what their income and expenses are on rental properties. As we work together, I'll see tax returns and whatnot. I'll make adjustments based on those tax returns, as well as recommendations. So I'll review the Schedule E. I will update Right Capital if what they told me to begin with was far off of what the Schedule E says. And I'll review more than 1 year because you'll have. I had to replace the roof this year, and that was 30 grand in expenses, and that's not an every year thing. That's true. I'll try to annualize CapEx like that. But if I see a trend of 2 or 3 years of Schedule E where this property is not performing, and I calculate the ROE to be, say, very low, let's just say very low, then I'll come back and go, hey, here's your trailing 3-year ROE on this property. Like, this is not a good investment. You need to either like change it somehow or sell it. And that comes up frequently because I would say, geez, I don't know, half of the rental properties that I come across are performing way worse than people think that it is. And it's because they just get blinded by cash flow. They think it's such a great deal. And you run an ROE and it comes back at a 4 or 5% ROE. And it's like, I mean, stock market's up 15% a year this year. What do you want to do?
Next question. What is your average customer length?
Good question. I would say we have 80 client households, and I don't know the numbers, the hard numbers, but I would guess we've had in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 terminations since we launched. So maybe we've had 100 clients sign up and we have 80 today. Of those, maybe 4 to 6 of them we terminated because it wasn't a good fit. The rest of them, I would say, like graduated, basically. Now, we serve a very well-educated client base, educated around money, personal finance. Like most of our folks are out listening to FIRE podcasts. They're reading FIRE blogs. So they know more than your average investor, like leaps and bounds more than your average investor. So it's no surprise that we're having folks graduate. Yeah, I guess that
I
answers the
think
question.
Travis, okay, so I just want to pipe in here as a marketing person, like my marketing radar is going crazy here, that I would say that Travis, you're probably in some kind of a feed from that due to various lists that you're on. Are you on flat fee advisor lists at all? I mean, I think you're on mine.
We're on flat fee lists. I mean, we are on, like, I don't know. We're on Mr. Money Mustache's website. We've had, I don't know,
Okay,
4 or
that's
5 people
great.
find us there.
How did you, okay, but hold on a second. How did you get on Mr. Money Mustache's website? So for all of you who don't know, Mr. Money Mustache is a huge influencer. Like I speak wrongly, but I would say like millions and millions of views. Okay. And he's one of these like financial influencer types that's not a financial advisor. Okay. Yes, Kevin.
Yeah.
So
Now,
how did you get on his website, Travis?
yeah, I will say we've had like a couple of people find us through his website. It's not like it's a large lead source.
Well, those are the ones that tell
we-
you that they found you through it, but sometimes they forget or they found you there initially, then they follow you for 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
So like you don't actually know.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that, by the way. On our, just to back up a little bit, when you book a meet and greet on our website, one of the required questions in Calendly is, how did you find us? And if you don't have that, you need to, because if you don't know where people are finding you, you don't know where to focus. Yeah. So we're members of Mr. Money Mustache's headquarters. Like I live 15 minutes from it. We go there. We're members. And it's a member perk. He allows members to put their businesses, not financial advisors. We are the only financial advisors on there, but there's people that are like, I'm a travel agent and I'm a realtor and I'm like, whatever. So he allows members to he has like a member directory, I guess is what it is.
Okay. So you see, because I've heard this from a few other people that are advice only or flat fee. And I would recommend to all of you that you somehow find a way to get this effect going on for yourself. When you work with, when you are in the visibility of people who are following the bogleheads, who are following some of these financial influencers, who are following Ramit Sethi, all right, who are following Michael Kitces, when you can reap some of those followers for yourself, you're going to probably have a much easier time of justifying the value of your planning services, because these folks are probably already DIYing. The intrigue of the stock market has worn off for them, or they were never that enthralled in the first place, which is why they sought out these types of people. Okay. So what I'm saying is get into the counterculture. Like Travis is basically kind of, I don't want to use the word endorse because that has all kinds of legal ramifications, but he's being supported off of the following of others who are consistent with his mission of, you don't need a broker, you don't need to do it all, have it all done for you, et cetera, right? And it's not all about the stock market. The planning is what matters, because otherwise they wouldn't be paying for this analysis, or they wouldn't
Yeah,
be.
I mean, so again, from Mr. Money Mustache's website, we've probably gotten 3 leads over the years, so it's not a big lead source. But I would say more importantly, we are involved and known in the community. Like I said, these are my people. So like if you specialize in serving dentists, I can understand how you're going to have a harder time, because you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to dental conferences and whatever. Like I go to Campfi, okay? I go to Economy. Like if you go to Campfi, any Campfi in the country, I bet you're going to find at least one person that knows me there, just because I've met them at other Campfis and all these events, right? Not to say that they're a client of mine or anything like that, but like we're just kind of, this is the community we want to serve, and we are this community. Like we were this community before we made this firm to serve them. So I don't. I'm not a marketing person, and that's not going to work for everybody, because if you're serving different niches, you can't do that. But it was just a good fit for us. So our problem has not been getting leads. Our problem, it wasn't even a problem, but getting leads was the easy part, because we live it, we are it, and then closing it is what our process has been. Like if you're not getting leads, you might want to talk to like Cody Garrett. Like he's out here just killing it with content. Like I don't produce content at all.
Travis, when you say you were able to serve the community because you are the community, do you mean to say that you serve a lot of real estate people because you came from real estate?
No, early retirement, financial independence. Like I was the person listening to the podcasts and reading the blogs 10 years ago. I was that. And now I'm going to the conferences and meeting people. I became a financial advisor through that journey. Like I became so enthralled. That was my passion. I would talk to everybody about it, and all my friends were like, "Shut the hell up, dude! I don't want to talk about 401ks." Like, that was me. I landed on um, Karsten. I don't know how to say his last name. Yeski. Karsten's website, Early Retirement Now. One day, I don't know, 10 years ago, on a Saturday morning, my wife was out of town on a business trip, and I spent the entire day reading his webpage cover to cover on the edge of my seat. That's how excited his website. That's how excited I was about it. And like, I don't know how else to say it. I just am it. I am these people.
I think it's the genuine aspect of the way that you're conducting yourself that has a lot to do with it. The marketing success is that this is what really savvy, the kind of discerning, savvy person that seeks out a flat fee advisor is going to see through the rest of the world, and they'll see in you what they're looking for, which is someone that honestly has their best interests at heart. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the benefits I think hopefully everyone else here has as well of running an independent firm, is I can say what I want. I mean, obviously I'm not going to say anything that's beyond, that's a violation for compliance purposes, but like AUM is a ripoff. I will say that publicly anywhere. AUM is a ripoff. It's unethical. I couldn't sleep at night if and the people that I'm serving, that resonates with them. So
Gonna move on to the next question here. Thank you, Travis, so much. Can you stay for a few more minutes, Travis, or do you have to run?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Amen. Okay, could you share more about the size of your team and who your first hire was? How did you know you were ready to bring on that person?
Yeah, so I have a business partner. We started as a 2-person firm. I met him at an XYPN local meetup and was speaking the way I just was speaking just now. AUM is a ripoff. It's unethical, yada, yada. He was working at Goliath National Bank, and he was like nodding and smiling to everything I said. And we just kind of, we exchanged contact details and started talking about how we both wanted to start a firm. For us, the partnership angle has been a very like 1+1 is 3 thing for us. Like it's been a force multiplier. We have achieved much more as a team than I think either of us would have achieved alone. That's not to say that that's going to be the case for everybody. I mean, I'm sure everyone here has heard partnership horror stories. If you go the partnership route, we read a book called The Partnership Charter, and I would not let anyone enter a partnership without reading this book. We spent over a year having weekly meetings working through what we wanted to create together. What would we do if we had disagreements? What would we do if one of us got hit by a bus? What would we do if one of us got divorced and the spouse wanted to take half of our interest in the business? Like we worked through all those things in advance. None of us have been hit by a bus or gotten divorced or anything, but like we have a document that outlines in advance what's going to happen. And I think that that was an important aspect of it. Now, he and I have not had any major disagreements. But I think that part of the reason we haven't had any disagreements is because we worked through that to begin with. So we figured out how to work with each other before we put money together and started a business. Yeah, so there was 2 of us, and we never had any ambition to grow to like an enterprise business or anything. I don't want to hire and manage advisors. It was just going to be the 2 of us and like maybe an admin person at some point. This was before AI came out. Now you can have an AI admin, I guess. Our third partner, his name is John. He was a client of ours. He was a very high-level Apple engineer. And he was like me. He was like, dude, this is my passion. I love this stuff. Like, I'm trying to help other people do this. He basically came and was like, how can I like do kind of what you're doing or something similar? Or how can I like give back in the way that you're giving back? And I was like, you know what? I could use some help preparing paperwork at Schwab. I don't want to do that stuff. I'll pay you. It's absurd. He was like a high-level Apple engineer. I was like, I'll pay you $15 an hour if you'll do back office paperwork for us for a little bit. And he did that. Worked out really well. And we just got to the point where we were like, look, man, you're developing your skills. You're passionate about this. You want to do what we do. So, you know, we gave him a shot as an advisor, and now he's a partner. But we have no ambition of growing beyond that.
Next question. Do you schedule those biannual client meetings and surges or spread them out over the year?
We spread them out. So we schedule it at the end of each meeting. So every time we have a biannual meeting, the last task is to schedule the next one. We schedule like dentist, but we're spread out. We did the client service calendar thing and the surge meeting thing. I didn't like either one of them. Your mileage may vary.
Follow up on the cost of a living adjustment based on year 1. So 3% or 9% for the next 3 years until clients it's locked in for the next 3 years. Define cost of living adjustment.
Well, again, this is new. We are just going to introduce it to people in January with our ADV update, and we're not going to implement it. First of all, we need to do new client paperwork with everybody because our agreement doesn't allow us to do it yet. So we need to do a new agreement, and we're not going to implement it. And so we're going to introduce it January 26th, and the first adjustment will be January 27th. So I haven't done it yet. What was the second part of that question? Oh, CPI. I mean, I'm just going to use CPI.
Do you do any specialties or things you are subject matter experts in at your firm?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a dangerous amount of knowledge on taxes, personal income taxes, and real estate investment compared to the next advisor. Eddie, my first business partner, he worked at Goliath National Bank for 20 years, including high net worth individuals. So he has more expertise with some of the very high net worth stuff, as well as like stock compensation. John also has a lot of experience with stock compensation. He also has a lot of experience with federal benefits packages because his wife works for the Air Force, Space Force, actually. That is a real thing. So yeah, we have like, I would say, niche knowledge and expertise there. And it's well diversified since we have a 3-person team, but we don't like, in order to have a good fit for a client, they don't have to have any of those individual circumstances. Anything else? Yeah. Is anybody here doing a free assessment like this? One
I
person?
used to, but as I like moved upstream with certain business owners, um, free became something scary to them because the market, it was like, no, you're another scammer. Where that's completely different for your environment. So now we do diagnostics, but they're reassuringly expensive, even when sometimes they're not the full cost of what it
Yeah.
really costs.
So that goes to the product market fit. So the way I'm doing it isn't a good fit for your prospects. I mean, we had one person just recently, just like this week, that is paying 1% on their $20 million. And they were literally like, this doesn't make any sense. How can you only charge me $8,000 a year? And we were like, he was like, I can't believe you're only going to charge me eight grand a year. Like, how is that possible? And I was like, I can't believe they're charging you 200 grand a year. How is that possible? Like, how does that person sleep at night, dude? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're running into that a lot where people don't even know that they're being charged AUM at all.
Yeah. I don't pay. You don't pay? Okay. I don't pay for Facebook either. What's the service here? I wouldn't say that like in that tone to a prospect, but and yeah, if you're a project-based advisor, obviously you're not going to want to give away everything up front like this. But if you're looking for ongoing service, I didn't invent this, by the way. Like, I think I got this. I want to say the guy's name was Taylor Schulte, maybe. He used to have a podcast, I don't know, 5-6 years ago that I was listening to, and he does a free assessment. This is how, like, whatever. So I got the idea from him. The way I built it was ours. It was our own, but like the idea of like give them a test drive, I think it just makes so much sense. Like, you want people to trust you with their life savings. I mean, my God, you're not selling cars here, man. How are you going to close in one meeting? I don't get it.
And I don't do a multi-meeting thing, but my prospects, when they show up to my one meeting, it's an hour. And most of the time they have stuff to share. And while I don't give them recommendations, I definitely am like, or, I'm like, hey, this is a risk area that whether you work with me or not, you need to go look at, right? And so, and some people would say I give away free advice, but it's not recommendations. It's, hey, these are the things based upon what you talked about. These are the things that we got to work on, or you got to go find somebody else to work on with.
Yeah.
Mine are usually about 3 hours, and then we don't even get to recommendations. They're just still like vomiting stuff. And then it's more like a therapy session where I get to ask a bunch of questions and then, okay, let's do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. So, and again, I don't know, this is just kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know if this is valuable or really relevant, but I do my meet and greet is a 30-minute meeting in Calendly. It's 30 minutes. The other 2 meetings are 1 hour, but I always allot an hour and a half for those 1 hour meetings because I would say 2/3 to 3/4 of them run like an hour 15. But I feel like to ask somebody to sign up for an hour and a half meeting is a bigger lift than to say, put an hour in your calendar. And then when we run over, they have time also. Like, normally they're not like, I got to run. But it's just an easier lift to ask them to sign up for 1 hour. Any others? Let me look in the
Why
chat
do you
here.
think everybody doesn't do this, Travis? If it works so well for you, why doesn't every financial advisor out there do this?
I don't know. You should be. If you're servicing, I get, again, like if you're project based, maybe it's different. But if you're servicing ongoing clients, I don't know why you're not doing this. You should definitely give it a shot. And there's going to be a lag. Okay, like when you start this process, you need to give it, I'm going to say, minimum of 6 months, if not 9 months to a year, to start seeing the results. Because like I said, it's going to take, 4 to 6, like your calendar is going to get swamped. You cannot book a meeting with me for the next 6 weeks. I'm booked, dude. Like I'm booked out because these free assessments take so long to do. It's 3 different meetings across six weeks. When somebody clicks the button on my website to book a meet and greet today, that meet and greet is going to be in December. The free assessment's going to be over in February. So like you got to give it some time for this to work through and start seeing the results. But yeah, if you're doing ongoing, I mean, good luck signing people up with 1 meeting. I don't know.
But Travis, did you have any I mean, I understand you're doing this for ethical reasons because you feel like it, that, or just because you're empathetic with them. And I think that's probably a big thing, you coming from this community, like that you could see where you wouldn't trust somebody that you just met with your money. So
yeah, I feel like it's weird for me though, because I wouldn't hire an advisor because you know what I mean? Like I am one.
that's, yes, but still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think, again, I think I just got that from like I got the idea from Taylor Schulte. Okay, it wasn't my idea. I think that's his name.
Yeah, he
And
has a
then
free assessment, but I don't think he does 3 meetings with it.
yeah, I don't. That's all I got from him was do a free assessment. That was it. I built the rest. We built, my partner and I built the rest of this. But yeah, I mean, and every sales trainer or coach or professional will tell you know, like, and trust. You got to get them up the know, like, and trust spectrum, and it takes multiple meetings to do that, right? And this is just a way to do it.
Okay, but Travis, like, I also would say that you are making the process about them, not about you.
Oh yeah. That was one of the other things I said in my slideshow was like, I don't bring a pitch deck. I don't pitch my services. Like in that meet and greet, if they don't have any questions about me or my firm, we just move on. Like I don't say anything about my firm unless they ask. Now, most of it is on our website. Like if they read our website, they should know who we are, what we do, how we charge, how we think about investments, like low fee passive index, like it's all there, right? So if they've read it ahead of time, they may not have any questions.
Okay, but that assumes that that's like a digitally savvy kind of a client. If you have
Yeah.
people who are like I don't know my parents who are 82. I don't know that they would do this. I don't know that certain types of like people in a certain mindset would necessarily go to your website before the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need to tailor it to your target market. If your target market is, boomer retirees, then I'm guessing you're going to probably be doing more of this in person, for example. Like our meetings are all virtual. We have folks all over the country. Whereas you might need to be focused on local people and meeting them in person, which, if anything, probably helps with the know, like, and trust spectrum, right? But yeah, I mean,
there's nothing not as much to like focus on. This is a focused process. You know what I'm saying? Like the clients, it's never unclear to the person what the next step is in the process. It's never unclear to them what they're going to get out of it. It's not like one meeting to the next and, well, what are we going to talk about next? Why should I meet with this guy? And if the person has enough commitment to you to sign up for the 3 meetings, I would say chances are you're going to close them.
yeah, our closing ratio is, I would say, very high. Now, I don't know what very high is relative to most independent advisors, or even most like flat fee or hourly fee advisors. But I would say, again, probably 3/4 of people that do the free assessment sign up, like a lot.
But it's just, yeah, like when you were first at this though, when you had like set up your shop and you had literally zero revenue in the pipeline, Travis, how did you get those first people interested? Was it just from your fire associations? Like you're retiring early?
I have it documented in our CRM. I could go look, but I don't really know. I mean, I don't, again, I don't recall. I don't feel qualified to advise on the marketing aspect of getting leads to come in. I think it was partially luck. It was partially well thought out product market fit. It was partially we're a part of the market. We are them. Like I think it was a confluence of a lot of different factors, and it just kind of took off. So getting the leads to come in was never our problem. And this was the process. Once they came in, this was the process we've always used. Getting people to sign up, I wouldn't say was ever a problem per se, but this, I think, I would attribute a lot of this to that, to the free assessment program that we do, getting people to sign up. If we had these leads coming in and we didn't do this free assessment program, I would be shocked if we got even half the people to sign up that we did.
Okay, Paul Stafford, Travis, can we chat? Okay. If you want to chat with Travis, can you enter your email into the chat? And then I'm going to wrap this up here. Wow.
Yep.
So folks, all of you who are on this meeting still, I'm putting the link to the immersion in the chat. And at the risk of sounding like I'm repeating myself, I just would say that these are the types of conversations that it's useful to have. And while this has been an hour, almost and a half at this point, the immersion, this is what the immersion is, folks. It's been designed to take away that conference awkwardness. It's been designed to reduce the frictions that prevent us from sharing knowledge. That's why I call it the immersion. And if you found these meetups useful, and I know that everybody has things, everybody has a life. I mean, trust me, I had to get on a plane and fly 7 hours, and I have 4 children under 12 years old. My son is autistic. You can't imagine it was like military style engineering I had to do, okay, to engineer that whole 4 days of my life. Really, okay? But what I would say is that this is worth it. And if you have questions about that, then let's have a conversation, okay? In addition, we do have online resources that are available. You can participate in our transparency chats on LinkedIn. There's a chat group. There was just a very engaging chat going on about like performance measurement, okay, that's going on LinkedIn. I provide access every day because I truly believe that we can make a difference in the world. We can change things, and we don't need to spend a ton of dough and to be able to do that, because we're a internet savvy population, okay, that I'm helping. I'm not in this to make a gazillion dollars off the immersion. The tickets are $300, okay? I'm taking the risk of running a loss on the event so that I can get people who otherwise can't access it, all right? I want this to be as open a forum as possible in everything that we do in the transparency movement. And I think in person is better, because I think personally, I'd be more likely to send business to somebody that I met. And I do get these inquiries quite often. And I think everybody would agree that more trust, telling somebody about your business, sharing vulnerabilities, or just having more access to people is fostered by having an in-person format rather than virtual. Although I know everybody has life things. What I'm saying is, think about how much of it am I making up as an excuse? Because I know I've made the excuses, okay? Versus what is real, actual, justified. I actually can't make it. Do I really need to go to that like bike race, you know, or like on that ski trip, or is it really my kid's vacation? Like, really, is it? I would just say that. So everybody, thanks for being here. Do you want to hang out a little bit more, or can I end the meetup?
Have a good day.
Amen. Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Thank you,
Thanks, y'all.
Travis.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is great.
Thank you,
Travis, can
Good luck,
you
Travis.
send
everybody.
Travis, can you connect with me on LinkedIn, please?
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can log in.
Okay, I'm in. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.